My beloved Jeff is not here with us today, at least not sitting in that chair. This was chemo week. So on Thursday, we successfully completed our 3rd chemotherapy. We are halfway there. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I knew I could celebrate that with my community here, so thank you for that. He did send his prayer shawl. I think that was to remind me to behave. They recommend that you not be around groups of folks for about 5 to 7 days. But he's right here in our hearts, so thank you for that. So I want to remind you what this 4-week series was actually entitled. Spirituality of Conversation. Transformation through your internal and your external dialogue. That is a very impressive title, if I do say so myself. I went back and I listened, because so much of what I write is not what I say. And when you commit to a 4-week series, there are certain things that you need to hit the high points. But you know, Spirit always takes care of that anyway. And I was just kind of reveling in that concept of the spirituality of conversation. We do a lot of talking in our lives. We don't always have conversation. This series is based, as you know, those of you who have been here, on the book Crucial Conversations. Now, I want to remind you what a crucial conversation is, just in case you haven't had any in your life since the series started, which I suspect might be the case, because that's the way the universe works. Start talking about it, it'll put it in front of you, right? So a crucial conversation is this. Opinions vary. I'm sure none of us have very many conversations like that, where we have differing opinions. Stakes are high. Everybody has something to win, everybody has something to lose. And emotions run very strong. You empowered me on the first talk of this series to have a crucial conversation that I didn't come prepared to have, and that was to speak out loud about Jeff's diagnosis of lymphoma. That's probably one of the most prominent crucial conversations that are happening in my life right now. But what I want to really point out about what I just said is, you empowered me. This community knows how to stand ready and create a safe space to have crucial conversation. So if you're feeling at some point in your personal life that you're alone, I want you to look around. Really, right now, look around. This safe space has been created, and that's one of the keys to successful crucial conversation, as we talked about. It's right here. And if you have a model like this in front of you, you now have tools to create that in your own life. So I'm going to assume that you're doing it, that you're having crucial conversations, or at least you've made some notes about having a crucial conversation, or at least you've had a thought about thinking about having a crucial conversation. And round and round and round we go. We start with our hearts. That's what those brilliant boys that wrote that book, Crucial Conversations, said. From Harvard, they said, this is what our research shows. Start with your heart. Well, there's a new one for us, right? Start with your heart. Then they said to remember who you are, and we just walked through a meditation that invited us into remembering. You're the light of God. Seriously, you're the light of God. No pressure on how you might want to show up. light of God. Remember who you are, then you can remember who they are. You know, all the theys out there. Get back to the facts, create a safe space, and then create a pool of meaning. And what we mean by that pool of meaning is a place where those divine thoughts can be parked, a place where they can be enfolded, not necessarily always chosen, but at least a space, a pool of meaning where they can be put. This is how we have successful, crucial conversation. And you know what I'm noticing? All of those steps apply to my spiritual principles and practices. How'd that happen? We've talked about the fact that this book was not based on that. However, God is everywhere. Get comfortable with that. These gifts and these lessons will come to you one way or another. You can gently and easily receive them. And you can put up your dukes and you can fight. I recommend option 1. I practice option 2 often. So today, because I'm going to make the assumption that you're having crucial conversation in your life, in your relationship, in your spiritual community, what does it mean? Now what? We're having a lot of really great conversation, Reverend Penny. It's really feeling good. We're just talking and talking and talking. And we're coming up with great ideas. And I'm celebrating that with you. But so what? What does that mean? Dialogue is not decision making. Ooh. Dialogue is not decision making. Ooh. Just when I thought I had it whooped. You're having me have these crucial conversations, you're inviting me into this practice, and now you're telling me there's more? Oh, but wait, there's more. Always more, right? We are infinite. These layers and layers and layers of the spiritual beings that we are, we're infinite. And the universe will consistently invite you into your next greater level, personally, and in your spiritual communities, and in your workplaces. So get ready. This is the deal. I love the way Benjamin Franklin said this. He said, never confuse motion with action. Okay, I'm going to say it again because I love to hear you guys go, oh. Never confuse motion with action. Oh, but it's so much more fun when I can. It's so much more fun when I can just get in that loop, and we talked about this in the class after service last week. That loop, 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 loop. It feels so good when we're talking, we're finally talking, we're celebrating that, and we're in the loop, and we're in the loop, because we have confused motion with action. There's another way of putting it. I love what this anonymous author says. It's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. There is no escaping that one, is there? And so then there's this one. Don't wait for your ship to come in. Suit up, put on your swimmies, and head out toward the boat. Reverend Penny Honey. Suit up. Let's not confuse motion for action. It is fabulous to be in conversation. It is fabulous to have those hard conversations. And I celebrate you truly because I know some of you have shared with me. You're having them. I celebrate with you. But beware the loop. The loop. So I'm going to give you some warning signs, as if you don't know when you're in the loop. How many people know when they get in the loop? Come on. How many people know, oh, I'm doing that again? So check this out. Here's a couple hints. If you're not sure if you're in the loop, are you getting the same spiritual lesson over and over and over and over, maybe by the same person?
Yep.
You're in the loop. Are you getting the same spiritual lesson maybe by someone different? You're still in the loop, it's just dressed differently. Are you trying to get different result with the same behavior? They have a word for that. It's called insanity, and you're in the loop. This is one of those loops you don't want to stay in. You hear yourself making the same point over and over and over. Now, when you're a public speaker, you get to do that because you're supposed to tell them what you told them, tell them what you told them, tell them what they said, what they thought you said, all those rules. I read those once about public speaking. However, in your life, in your conversations, when you hear yourself having the same conversation over and over and over, you have taken the same stance repeatedly, you might be in a loop. You might want to look. You might want to look behind you, and if it looks just like it did the last time you looked back there, chances are you're in a loop. And how about this one? And we talked a little bit about this the first week. Have you completely forgotten what the conversation was about? Did you forget what your intention was when you started out with that crucial conversation? Are you just really so enjoying either the chaos or the peace of the crucial conversation that you have forgotten what you set out to do? Did you ever have a dream, a wish, a thought, and you got so tangled up in making it right, making somebody else wrong, that you forgot the intention that you set out to fulfill? Maybe not you, but I have. So now you know you're in the loop. I'm sure there are some other various ways that it shows up, but now you have no reason to say you don't know you're there. That's the tough thing about this truth thing and about learning. Once we hear it, we can't really go back. Have you noticed that? That may be why sometimes we're a little resistant to hear it. But now, we have witnesses. You've heard it. You know what it looks like to be in the loop. So let's move back to that action and motion thing. Now that we know what the loop looks like, we have the opportunity to move out of motion into action, out of commotion and into action, sometimes out of emotion and into action. The definition of action is this: the state of acting or doing, something done or accomplished, organized activity to accomplish an objective. That's action. The state of acting or doing. Motion, on the other hand, is this: the process of changing position. Not going anywhere, just changing position. So I got a funny little story to tell you. And I cleared this with my loved one because this story's on him. He is great talk fodder. I love the way he supplies me with things to talk about. So Jeff and I started cohabitating about 3 years ago. And I'm in the laundry room. And I open up the laundry cabinets, and I closed them. Then I opened them again, and I said, oh, that's a hummingbird feeder. Up on that top shelf, there's a hummingbird feeder. So I pull it down. I love hummingbirds. I'm sure many of you do too. So what I noticed was the hummingbird feeder was still in the box. So I asked Jeff about it. And he said, yeah, that's a hummingbird feeder. He said, you know, I've moved it from the garage to the laundry room, to the kitchen cabinet, to the bedroom closet. I've had it for 12 years. Good thing it didn't expire. 12 years. So he said, you know, I've never had one hummingbird. Really? Not one? Not one? That's motion. So I took that puppy out of the box and I hung it on a shepherd's hook and I filled it up with some sugar water and boom! We have a plethora of hummingbirds. Beautiful, little, big ones, colored ones, gray ones. Oh, they're so fabulous, right? Like that. I mean, literally within 5 minutes, 12 years. He owned that hummingbird feeder. That's motion. The action was to hang the hummingbird feeder. Do you have a place in your life like that? Do you have a hummingbird feeder that's 12 years old in your life? Or something in your life that you just keep moving around or dancing around? There's that. Anything? Consider that for just a moment. How do you feel when you think of that? Even if it is a plastic hummingbird feeder up in the cabinet. How does it make you feel when you consider that item or that subject or that event? Does it bring you joy? I didn't get much of a response on that. Okay, did it bring you stress?
Yeah.
Maybe a little. Did it bring you disappointment?
Yeah.
Did you feel like you're not doing everything you should do? La, 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 la. All those things that we tell, let that go. No, really, let that go. So when you recognize the difference between action and motion, guess what? You can more easily move into action. Action tells the universe, I'm ready. I have done my prayer work. I have affirmed this in my life. I have set my intentions, and I'm ready. I'm going to take some action. My two hands, like we sung about earlier this morning. I'm going to put my two hands into action. Universe, what do you think? And the universe only says yes. But I'm confused. Yes, you are. I'm lost. Yes, you are. I know my way. Yes, you do. The universe only says yes. When you start to take action, that fabulous law goes in and it starts moving around. And then you take that motion and put it into action, and things start to happen. In your personal life, in your work life, in your spiritual community, it starts to happen. Yeah, you'll get off track. Yeah, the hummingbird feeder's gone empty a couple times. Yeah, sometimes those little birds are hanging right out at the window saying, hey! So I have to take some more action. It's just like the universe. We have to be consistent. We have to stay with it. We have to take that action and commit to it. Stand in it, knowing that we're ready. So the crucial conversations that you're having, when they are put into action, they turn into fabulous decisions. They turn into united energy. They turn into what really shows up in your life. Now, the interesting thing is, excuse me, I love what Yolanda Van Zant says. If you don't make a decision, you get to live by default. How's that feel? Well, how's it feel?
Lousy.
Lousy. How's it feel? A little disempowering, wouldn't you say? So when you don't move into action and start turning all of those crucial conversations and that yummy studying that you're doing and that deep soul work that you're really committed to. And if you just stay in the loop of that and it never turns into action, you might dig a hole that you can't get out of. Because around and around and around you'll go. And the universe just says yes. So obviously some of you know how to take action because I see you sitting here today. And I appreciate that. Start with the heart. Remember those 4 questions we talked about when we asked the questions, what do I really want for me? What do I really want for them? What do I really want in a relationship and for this organization? What do I really want? And then check in and see if your behavior is supporting that. Now you're taking action. Now you put all that great information, all those tough conversations, they have now become valid because you're moving into action. I love what Martha Beck says. Check this out. Great strategists. Is that the word you say that? Is that the way you say it? Strategists? I knew I was going to have to ask. Great strategists trust both intellect and instinct. They gather information until they feel that they can make a good decision. People who try to decide with their mind alone, who place no faith in their heart's desires, are doomed to stall and fuss, compare and contrast, forever insisting that with just a little more knowledge, the choice will become clear. And it won't. Big leap. Here goes nothing. Here goes everything. I've done my work and I'm going to step into faith. I have the tools. I've had the conversations. I am moving into action. Do you guys remember in Raiders of the Lost Ark where he stepped out on that bridge and it went nowhere? He could see nothing. It's easy when it's easy, and it's faith when it isn't. Here goes everything. I'm going to move this into action. I'm going to remember who I am. I'm going to remember who I am so I can remember who you are. And then I'm going to let go. Now, what I've noticed about the phrase let go is just a couple little letters away from let's go. So once you let go, now you can stand ready and say, let's go. Okay, I've got the tools, I've got the stuff, I'm on my way, I put it into action. I am standing in faith. Let's go. Let's go. And what's interesting about let's go is this. Once you let go and you start claiming let's go, you will start to grow. That's what will happen. You can't stop it. The universe only says yes. Let's go. Let's go. Decide to decide is your next tool. Decide to decide. Ever been in a group of folks and you were making up decisions and you were coming to really great conclusions and you had all this great stuff in the pool of understanding and meaning, but nobody was making the decision to decide? There you go, you're in the loop again. Decide to decide. Commit to saying, we as a group are going to decide. Somebody's going to feel unheard. Somebody's going to be unhappy. We're going to decide. Let that be your first decision. In your personal life, when you decide to decide, action takes place. So I heard this recently. I read this on a friend's blog. Just as money misers hoard their wealth, living as if they're poor even though they're not, opportunity misers hoard their freedom to choose, and they end up becoming prisoners of indecision. Decide to decide. Remember that dialogue is not decision making. We've been having dialogue. Let's move into action. Are you willing to reap the benefits of being in action? Can you see that there's any benefit to it at all? Decide to decide. Remember who you are. Get back to your heart. Let go. Then be willing to say, let's go. Be aware that when you do this, you can't go back. So here goes nothing. Here goes everything. I know, and you know, that you have it in you. You know.